So I'm curious, how do you decide where to prioritize your time? When you're juggling all of the things and spinning all of the plates, how do you decide what to do now and what to do later? So that's what's in today's episode. I can't wait for you to hear it.
Welcome to the Course Creators HQ podcast, helping you navigate the latest techniques for creating and marketing online courses. And now, here is your host, Julie Hood.
So today is part 2 of our Ask Julie episodes with Sarah Jane Watson of fitfannyadams.com. And I'm so glad you're here to listen to this episode. We had such a fun time chatting. Sarah Jane West Watson is our guest today, and this is actually part 2 of a 2-part episode where I was coaching her and talking about her business and what she can focus on and what she can prioritize for the next couple weeks. So if you haven't listened to episode 23, you can go to coursecreatorshq.com/23 and listen to the first part of this episode. So today we talk a little bit more about prioritizing and timing, what to focus on now, what to focus on going forward. So I hope you enjoy hearing how I like to work with my students. I'm doing this before we start the next version of the 24-hour Course Creator program, and I'd love for you to join us. I want to give you an experience of what it's like to work with me so that you can consider doing the program with us. We're going to have a group version where each day during the week you get an assignment for an hour. And you sit down at your computer, you do the assignment, and by the end of the course, we have your first course ready to go. And I'm hoping that it appeals to you and that you can come join us because it's really fun to do this as a group. We'll have some coaching hours and some co-working hours during the whole experience. And if you want to find out more, you can go to coursecreatorshq.com/daily. That's coursecreatorshq.com/daily, and it will take you to the version of the course that we're starting up on January 25th, 2021. So enjoy this episode. I hope it helps you prioritize what it is you should be doing next, and just thinking about some of the things that we talked about may help you clarify your next steps. Enjoy.
Okay, so Beck, I love what you've already got going, and I'm trying to decide whether I want you to create more products and the other pieces that you haven't created yet, or whether I just want you to focus on building your audience and selling what you have, because it seems like you've got some great stuff already.
Yeah, and I think so. I have it feels like I have relatively good engagement, but I think one of the problems that I had, and this would be interesting to get your take, because with trading time for dollars, I was at maximum capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So there was very little point in me spending and finding time to do a lot more marketing when I didn't want to I couldn't have any more footfall in, which was a wonderful problem to have. Whereas now, I also know that I want to create that engagement, but I'm also very conscious that I don't have the finished products in a position that are ready to go.
What do you mean by that exactly?
Well, so when I know that I can drive people to the online classes today, that would be brilliant to do. And I guess I have an awful, absolutely, I can do that. And then also the 6 weeks to Wonderful, I know that I want to polish it more before I relaunch it. But I think you're absolutely right. And I actually was going through and kind of scoring out of 10 on your create, relationships, discover, and sales sort of square, as I had it, where I was. And my weakest area is, I think, create and relationships.
Mm-hmm. For getting building the new audience, and then I think you're pretty good on create. Like you've got some stuff available to sell. So I think where we need to have you spend the time that you do have is how can I get in front of more people? If it is like your courses and stuff, they're online, they're ready to sell. People can push the button and buy, right? The way they
So,
are right now.
so only one of them.
Okay. The
They're 6 weeks
this
to wonderful.
Okay. So there's this great quote that I pulled from a guru last year sometime. And she was talking about how you really only need one class to be successful. You really only need one course. And it's a matter of getting it in front of enough people. And since that's the biggest audience that you have, getting it in front of enough people because it appeals to the most people. So um,
Do you know, I think you're absolutely right, and it resonates. And I've got a list of people who are like, when you run it again, please let me know. So, yeah, and I think at the moment people want to be feeling good. They don't necessarily want someone beating them up about they've got to have the perfect body.
Exactly. Well, and we can't go to the gym right now. So, everyone's kind of trying to figure out what can I do at home? What's on YouTube? What can I try to somehow, lift the 5 pounds of potatoes instead of a weight or and do you have this on Thinkific or Teachable or any of the platforms, or was it just
So
in
I have
Facebook?
all of my videos on Vimeo,
Vimeo.
but what I'm
Okay.
doing is I'm paying for a platform that's sort of like so it allows people to book in live or book in online and access all of this on-demand content. Um,
Cool.
so that's quite good. So it means then all of my Vimeo videos are actually private, but then they're accessible through another portal, and then that portal allows you to have data capture, um, so that I can then, you've got to be a member and give me name information in order for it to be a member on there.
Gotcha. All right. So you've got that piece all set up. Sometimes that tech side of things can hold people back, but you've got that all set up. So like 5 gold stars, I think you need to give yourself credit for how much you've got done already. This is fantastic. uh,
But
yeah.
here.
Yeah. So let's go back to your comment though, because I want to address this. You had said you wanted to spiff up your 6 weeks to wonderful.
Yeah.
Before you sold it again. So what do you think needed to be changed?
So some of the documentation that went out, I need to go looking at the quality of it, the benefit of hindsight, going through it again, taking a bit more time to say, right, well, what worked, look at people's feedback, and look at the content that I put in it, which was really deep. And every week we tackled a different subject. But sometimes the expectations, I think it's just about bringing it and really saying, well, what did I learn from doing that first session? And what do I need to put back into that content before we re-deliver it?
So what would you think about potentially having a March version? Because you were doing it live. Well, here's a better question for you. Could you do it live again while you're homeschooling?
No.
Okay. So what if
I could do it. I think this is a difficult thing. And, you talked about it earlier, is I could literally do that, but actually they're doing all of the pre-launch, managing that sales. That's a bit that I think you underestimate actually how long that takes.
Yep. And I will tell you, I've been at this for 20 years and I did it on my last launch too. I tried to do this big launch over the holidays and I was like, Julie, you know better. You've been doing this a long time. You know better than to think you can do all this stuff over Christmas. Yeah. So what I was wondering is if you wanted to set a date maybe for March or April, to where you think about, I'm going to do it again, but then this time leading up to it is a lot of building your audience and getting in front of other people and maybe building some joint venture partners. that
Yeah.
would be interested in promoting you. How does that feel?
Yeah, it does feel really good actually. Makes a lot of sense. Takes a lot of the pressure off, yet you're still doing something to move forward.
Absolutely. And we're going to all cross our fingers and say prayers that by March and April, things are better.
Yeah.
And homeschooling is done, and you know what else, the other thing I want to tell you is to give yourself permission that if it's not, just move the date.
And people get that. Do you know, I think at the moment, the one thing that I'm learning, I dropped a communication out to my email list earlier in the week, and I was so low. I couldn't. My husband kept saying, "Why are you angst? Why are you angst?" for days, and I knew it was because I was about to do this calm saying, "I'm going to focus on the family for the few weeks." But I was blown away by the response of people saying, "I can't believe you've just helped me make the decision I needed to know that it's okay to slow down, turn around times or reduce the hours I'm working." And I think at the moment we all need this permission to kind of go, I'm juggling way too much and something's got to give.
I'm so glad you said that. Really, that is brilliant. And especially as women, we need to say this to each other more. I'm getting chills because seriously, we are really good at spinning all the plates and keeping things going, but at some point we have to give ourselves a break, and it's okay.
Yeah, it is. And practicing what I preach is I've got to, I do it, and I do it. And I think that sometimes we put that pressure on ourselves. Oh, but I've got to be seen to be still doing this and that. And it's like, no, do you know what? It's okay just to kind of be a mum if that is what is needed at the moment. Just being a mum is
Yes,
still the hardest job there is.
it is. And honestly, the most important. And I'm on the back end of it. My kids are 18 and 23. And I will tell you, looking back, there were a lot of times where I didn't do business stuff. I would put their I had kind of had my priorities. It was they had to have decent food, had to have clean clothes, and then schooling and the whole being a mom and helping take care of them and train them to have good manners, that kind of thing. And then what I let go, I'll be honest, is I let go of the clean house. I knew that
That's
something
one
had.
person in lockdown. No one comes in, so they can't see.
Yeah, so probably what would have been better for all of us would have been to get a housekeeper, but I didn't at the time. But that was kind of how things played out for me. But the business fell further down on the list for me, and I was lucky. We were not in a place where we needed my business to eat. Things might have been different if that had been the requirement. So, but I just kind of wanted to give that feedback for folks who have the younger kids who are trying to figure out, like, how do I juggle what gives. And so that was my choice, and to actually just think about what is your priorities, which you've already done. You said you
Yeah,
were putting the
it does.
homeschooling first.
It does, and I know we're going off track, but I think it is really important, particularly in this day of social media. Is I had someone who said, "Oh, but we were talking about timings of delivering content." I said, "Oh, but when you're sitting there getting dressed and you put your makeup on, you got your phone just playing the videos," and I was like, "Pardon?" I've got one child that's trying to do something. I've got another child that we're trying to get dressed over there. I was like, those days just that doesn't happen. And
Nope.
I think everyone's day's world is completely different. And I think sometimes people who are saying what to do just live in a very different life stage than other people.
Yes, I completely agree. And I will say, and this because you have an older child too, 18 months is way different than 7.
Yeah.
And so when they get to 5, 6, 7, you will have so much more time than. Yeah. So that. So anyway, but I think this is very important, especially for our parents out there to kind of hear this conversation. I think as parents, we need to have this more together of, this is hard. How do we do this? What's working? What's not? That sort of thing. So that would kind of be my suggestion for you for the business is to spend these you've got the rest of January, February, maybe even March, depending on whether you want to do March or April. And you could be working on your documentation. You said you wanted to maybe some of the worksheets and things that you want to change.
Yeah, that again, when we get that whole list going back with a 5-minute, actually, if I've got a pack of the documentation and it's really accessible where I'm going to be, then that's something that when homeschooling is going on, and I can actually do it at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, that's really smart. That's excellent. You're both working on school. So, and then when you could fit it in, getting in front of some new audiences. So I don't know do you have time where you think you could get on some podcasts between now and then or not?
So, as in delivering them?
No, as in being a guest.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because that is one of the easiest and best ways to get in front of new audiences. Because they are always looking for new guests. And the secret to this is you make sure that you get a chance to offer your freebie to everyone and talk about it during your podcast episode. And then you ask the host if they'll include the link in their show notes. So, and after we get done, I will send you a few that I think might be good fits for you from a health women's perspective. And then I also have a link to how to be a good guest. It's a training on being a guest. So I'll send that over too.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. And so I think doing that will also help you sort of building your email list and how often are you sending out emails to your list right now?
So every 2 weeks.
Good. And so you can sort of start teasing the fact that you're going to have the new 6 weeks to wonderful coming. Talk about what you're working on. This week I was working on the documentation about eating well, and it doesn't have to be long. It can be just little short paragraphs where you're giving them nuggets about what you're doing, because it builds that anticipation and that interest and what's she got cooking, that's coming down the line, and kind of puts it in the back of their mind. Because I saw something the other day that said it took 18 phone calls to connect with a potential prospect, and I thought 18, goodness, I don't have time to do 18 calls with people. But we do want to kind of like trigger their brain. 6 week to wellness. You want to have that coming up in their mind multiple times over the next couple months. So that's an easy way to do it.
Brilliant. I like that idea. And it's quite easy with the nutrition that I can get those themes coming in as well.
Good. So yeah, that's what I think I would focus on for the next 6 months. And then plan to have, when you do that course in March or April, that you're going to make it a standalone product then. So this version will be live. That's another sales technique that you can use too, is this version is going to be live, but then after this, I don't know when I'm going to do a live version again. So you need to jump in, or you want to jump in now, you can do it live with me and get coaching and feedback.
Yeah.
And then let's also talk just kind of longer term, because we are eventually going to get out of all of this craziness and get back to real life. Yes. And so I was trying to decide which of the 2 courses I wanted you to do next, the other 2 that you were thinking about. Do you have an opinion? Do you have one you're more excited about? Or
I think the beyond stronger beyond the bump, so the pregnancy and postnatal.
Yeah. And I like that one too, because that's a niche that you can get a hold of, the pregnancy folks. And then they get through that, they get into being a new parent, and then they need 6 weeks to wonderful.
I think that's it. And then they understand and they're on board. And so, I think that it feeds more naturally.
Yeah. All right. So then I would kind of plan, if whenever, and maybe you put it as whenever things get back to normal, I'm going to take an hour a week, an hour a day, whatever you can, and work on that course. Oh, and this might be next fall, whenever, that,
Absolutely.
yeah.
No, that's a bit of clarity.
Good. What other questions that we haven't addressed yet?
One of the questions was on the platforms, but I think because I have been looking at Kajabi, but one of the questions I had is, whilst I'm in this creation phase and I don't necessarily want to be paying for another platform that I'm hosting, what are your thoughts? Is it just more about let's create content PDFs and invest that time with a graphics person, or do I need to make that investment in another platform at this stage, do you think?
No, you don't, because you've already got a platform that you can sell on.
Yeah.
So stay with what you've got. Don't use your precious time trying to deal with switching over to Kajabi. Unless there's something on that platform that you have right now that isn't working. It seems like
I can't see, because otherwise I'm juggling between MailChimp and so everything, and then it's plugging everything in together. It just is a nightmare.
So it is right now.
If I add anything more to it.
Okay. Yeah, don't. If what you've got is working and you can sell from it and you can email from it, you've got MailChimp to do your emails.
Yep.
Just stay put. Yeah, because are there other solutions that maybe would have some bells and whistles and some things? Yes. Is that a good place for you to spend your time right now? Absolutely not. Everyone needs to get to a place where they can sell and they can email, and then once you get there, run with it, and you can deal with switching around later if there's some reason. But the other thing that you said, the platform that you have will let you sign up for the live classes that you have right now, and if it's got all that built in, yeah, stay put. And does it automatically put people then who do that onto your MailChimp list for you?
I just do an export every month.
Okay, that works. Yeah.
And then add them, and then I can just tag it as whatever month it is in MailChimp.
Good. Okay. And then the other thing to put on your thoughts, and I don't know if I would do this before the end of February, maybe this is after the end of February, try to get to a weekly email. There's something about, and it doesn't have to be long. So I do two types of emails. I do a little bit longer that are more content filled, and then I'll do some short. They're actually, most of them are promo emails telling people about something that's going on. Sometimes free promo, but just shorter things. But staying in front of them every week, I think, would be good too. But I don't want to put that pressure on you right now. If that feels like too much, wait till March.
I don't want to overwhelm. I don't want to turn people off by just constantly, because I think email boxes at the moment particularly are just pinging left, right and center. So for me, the 2 week, it fits within how much I can put together, but it sort of seems to feel right about how much I'm in their faces.
Good.
I think going forwards, if as I ramp everything up towards launch, probably I'm going to have to go to that weekly.
Yeah, and I will tell you, my super high-end clients that are doing tons and tons of stuff, they do daily emails, and
Wow.
yeah, and it makes a difference. I know why. Well, and here's the other thing: is you do kind of want to get, as you're building your list, you want to get into the expectation with your audience of how often they expect to hear from you. So you can't go from every 2 weeks to daily. Like, you'll lose majority of your list because they're like, what? I expect to hear from you every 2 weeks.
I've kind of gone tumbleweed to every 2 weeks.
Right. So, but I think you can go from 2 weeks to 1 week, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Nobody will disappear on you for that, or they shouldn't anyway. But keep that in mind for long term.
Yep.
So, yeah. All right.
That is so helpful.
I'm so glad. Oh, I cannot wait to hear about how everything goes. So I hope you will keep in contact. Maybe we can do this a follow up later and
That would
kind of
be good. That
see.
would be amazing. Yeah.
That would be so fun. So I want to tell everyone, make sure you check the links for this episode because we're gonna have all the links for Sarah Jane's stuff so you can get to her website, and then I'll have the links for the other things that we talked about, the guest podcasting, so that and her freebie, so you can get a hold of her freebie. So make sure you visit the notes and get all that stuff. So thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And
Uh,
for all you're doing for your students. I truly believe that as course creators and helpers, we can change the world. And so thank you for how you're helping.
oh no,
Oh,
really appreciate it, and I thank you for all of your advice. It has, I think, with the muddiness of everything else that's going on, it has really helped clarify where I need to be focusing on and what's okay to park. So thank you for your time and
absolutely. Fantastic. All right. Take care, Sarah Jane. Thank you.
and you. Bye bye.
So there you go. I hope that helps you figure out some ideas for where to spend your time over the next few months, and also that it made you think about your priorities a little bit, because that's one of the best ways to prevent regret in your life is to think about what's most important to you right now. So I also am looking forward to working with you for the 24-hour course creator. So go to coursecreatorshq.com/daily and you can get the scoop on the next version of the course. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for subscribing. If you enjoyed this episode and could give us a 5-star review, that would be fantastic. I would be incredibly grateful. And enjoy your week. Take care, everyone, and stay safe.